Good afternoon. This is Darren Crawley, the Partner Account Manager here at Ascari for our Cloud for Partners service. I'd just like to thank everybody for joining the webinar today and to introduce very shortly our friends at DiCentral. Just a couple of housekeeping rules before we commence the webinar today. This is a series of monthly webinars that we make available to the global SAP Business One partner network. And one of the things we do when we commence the webinar is we put all of our delegates onto mute. However, we want to encourage the session today to be as interactive and as interesting as possible. So you will have the opportunity to ask questions of our guest, Jacques, when he finishes his presentation this afternoon. All you need to do is, if there is a question or if you do have a point to make, you can either input a question using the feature on GoToWebinar under questions, and we'll recap at the end of the session with any questions or any points that the audience wish to make. The session will last for approximately half an hour, and we will run the Q&A at the end of Jacques' presentation. So just to give you a little bit of insight before we commence, this presentation will be focusing on the DiCentral Cloud Managed service. And there's a lot of similarities in terms of focus between DiCentral and ourselves at Cloud for Partners, in the sense that we're looking at very much a cloud-first proposition for SAP Business One partners, which is available to the global B1 partner community. Jacques is the Executive Vice President of DiCentral Europe, and his focus today will be to give you a brief intro on DiCentral EDI services, giving you a little bit more insight into the seamless integration that it provides, the cloud management tools that are available, and the benefits that SAP Business One partners can accrue from utilizing the service that currently reaches over 20,000 trading partners across the world, whether they be customers, suppliers, e-commerce partners, financial institutions, or indeed third-party logistics companies. So I'm going to hand the reins over to Jacques now, and hopefully we'll be able to see Jacques' presentation in a few moments. Over to you, Jacques.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darren. Just to confirm, you can hear me?
Correct.
Awesome. Very good. So thanks a lot, Darren. Thank you to the Cloud for Partners team for inviting us to present today, and for inviting all of you to join this webinar. I sincerely hope that everyone's doing well in these most unusual times, and I know everybody's trying to make the best of it. And so yeah, everybody, I hope everybody's doing well despite everything that's going on. As Darren mentioned, today we'll talk about EDI, specifically Cloud EDI, and specifically EDI for SAP Business One. And one of the things that's exciting to me about EDI, and obviously I'm biased, is that it really is about the growth story. Okay, so when you're getting into digitizing and connecting electronically with trading partners, of course you're streamlining, you're optimizing, you're cutting cost. But really, the focus is to enable Business One users to quickly grow. It's about connecting to their largest customers, connecting to online platforms. It's about connecting to basically ways to generate more revenue. I'm Jacques Vigneault, as Darren mentioned, originally from Canada, now based in Munich, Germany. And my colleague Giada is also on the call, and originally from Italy, but based in London. And so we are focused on Business One. We're focused on EDI and focused specifically on business in Europe. One of the things I want to talk about before we get into specifically talking about our solution is the cloud opportunity in Europe. As Darren mentioned, we're a cloud first company, and we definitely believe that there's a massive opportunity going on in Europe right now. And unfortunately, I guess you can say, I think the current situation is going to accelerate that. Okay, that is our prediction. And if you take a look at the numbers, you see some stats on the screen. For whatever reason, adoption of the cloud has been slower in Europe than in North America. Okay, today the stats, according to this study, said that only about a quarter of European businesses do use the cloud. And you take a look at some of the rankings there in Europe. So the UK is definitely ahead of the curve in many ways compared to the other geographies, with Germany, Spain, and France as examples that are really lagging. Now, IBM spends a lot of time, obviously, trying to figure out where the opportunities are, and their estimate is that it's about a $1 trillion opportunity. And really today, when we say a quarter of the companies have adopted the cloud, we're mostly talking about email services, document storage, things like that. So we're not yet talking about Cloud ERP, Cloud EDI, cloud, all the business critical applications. And so to us, basically, and you can call us optimistic, but to us, we see a massive opportunity. And I think the current situation has sort of shown people that basically being digitally connected to their customers, being digitally connected to even their supply chain, to partner with companies that are sort of best in class is something that they should definitely take a look at and evaluate sort of a bit of a cloud strategy. On top of that, what's sort of exciting is that you see a lot of infrastructure upgrades going on in Europe. And these are just two examples with Germany and the UK, but it's going on all over the continent where basically bandwidth is improving and just a lot of things to improve performance when talking about the cloud. So you're really mixing in sort of a increased and improved technology with companies such as DiCentral, Cloud for Partners, and all of you, and SAP. Obviously, you're adding better infrastructure, on a local level, and so you've got sort of a perfect recipe for growth. We like to say that Cloud EDI is part of the Cloud ERP story, but it's also part of the broader just cloud strategy. And I think most CIOs today have to basically be ready to answer that question. What is your cloud strategy? And I think we all as SAP Business One partners can help answer that question. Specifically for EDI, you have a few business drivers. Everybody's talking about digital transformation, right? And so obviously that is what we do. There's a big piece of it that's compliance. A lot of our customers, in some cases, are customers at first because they have to. MMOG is an example of in the automotive sector. A lot of tier one suppliers are being asked by their OEM customer to basically digitize their supply chain. Retail is an obvious one, and I'll lean on retail a little bit for today's presentation. With DiCentral, we're focused on many verticals, but retail is sort of an easy one in EDI. A lot of retailers have already started basically digitizing their supply chain as much as possible. And so a lot of the companies that you target and a lot of your customers have these EDI requirements that come from their retailers. And in some cases, the SAP Business One customers simply have to comply to the requirements that the retailers are pushing. We're seeing more and more e-invoicing requirements. So the governments are now turning around and saying, we want to see copies of these invoices. And so that's another business driver for electronic data interchange. The other thing too is companies are starting to realize that if you digitize this whole process and you now have access to a lot more data. I saw a stat recently that said that there's been more data produced in the last 12 months than in all of history. Right, so there's just a lot more data being produced, and with solutions such as ours, for example, and obviously with all the analytical tools that SAP Business One offers, now all of a sudden you can make proactive business decisions. So instead of reacting all the time, you can be ahead of the curve and make decisions that are, or your customer can make decisions that's going to help them grow their business. Okay, so those are some of the drivers to adopt cloud solutions and also Cloud EDI. Okay, so talk about DiCentral a little bit just to establish some credibility. So we are a global company. Our European headquarter is in Munich, where I'm based, but our customers are all over the place, over 35 countries, and obviously that includes most of the European countries. Today we have actually probably closer to 7,000 customers. And as I'll mention at the end, we have a bit of a fortunate business model where, because of some of our either retail or OEM or some of the large company relationships we have, it basically drives our solutions in their supply chain, which means that we are in a position where we add customers, and sometimes very small, but we add customers every day. And the neat thing about that is that we think that a lot of these customers could be good SAP Business One targets. And we do not, we're not an ERP reseller. We're not ERP experts. Our ERP expertise really limits itself to the EDI component. And so we are happy to generate leads for all of you guys. The only thing that we need to be able to do that is to get to know you. That's it, is to understand what geographies you play in, to understand what verticals you're focused in, basically to understand a little bit what your sweet spot is. And then what we do is we work very, very hard at sensitizing, our sales team and our consultant team to basically be able to find these leads. It's a bit self-serving. We understand that if we can turn around and give you a lead, that you'll be happy to return the favor at some point. Our SAP Business One story is a long one. Basically, we jumped in about 2005. We actually implemented our first customer in 2003. And basically, the customer, we borrowed the SDK from the customer at the time, and in 2005 met with the SAP team and basically became an official partner, redeveloped everything, and obviously the solution's been evolving over the years and so on. Like a lot of you guys, we've participated, sponsored, attended pretty much every worldwide event in the last 10 to 15 years, and I was very, very fortunate for 6 years. SAP essentially sponsored a solution partner advisory council, which was made up of sort of the most reputable, I guess, SSPs for SAP Business One globally. And many of these SSPs were also VARs in their local geographies. And for about 6 years, I was fortunate enough to be the chairman of that group. And so it gave me a lot of insight into how SAP works, got to meet a lot of great people that are friends to this day. But long story short, SAP Business One is an unbelievably important partnership for us. And so excited to be a partner. On the same token, very, very excited to also start this partnership with the Cloud for Partners team. Obviously, we very much believe in what they're doing. Like Darren said, they're cloud first, we're cloud first, and so it's a great, great fit. A few examples real quick of customers, a lot of different geographies there. And sometimes our customers are the retailer or the supplier. Some cases, they end up being basically connecting through EDI with their customers, but also connecting with their suppliers as well. Sometimes we have both cases. And then we have a massive trading partner network. And that trading partner network is growing fast. And some of these trading partners are customers and some are just partners. We don't invoice them or anything, but we're interconnected to them. If you're a tier 1 EDI player such as us, you basically connect with other tier 1 networks, which is really important. And so that has enabled us to generate some great relationships. And so the companies, for example, that you see on there, which is just a tiny, tiny sample, these are companies that trust DiCentral to basically work with their suppliers. And I'll use an example that I'll refer to a little bit later, but Deleuze on the left, which is one of the largest retailers in Belgium, basically entrusted us with connecting over 2,000 suppliers, and not only in Europe, but also in North America, because they have a foothold now in North America. So that's the kind of relationship that's great for us. Obviously, it gives us access to a lot of companies. As I said, I think many of them could be SAP Business One potential customers. So potentially leads for you guys, and also gives us a lot of insight into what's going on in the retail world when we're connecting with retailers that are as influent as Deleuze. Like I said, I'm gonna lean on retail a little bit. The DiCentral network is not just retail. I'll talk a little bit about later. Today, you're gonna see me make references to the retail world. You're gonna see me make references to the automotive world. Those are two sort of major verticals that we play in, and that we've also noticed that the SAP Business One world plays in, that has a link to EDI. But basically, we've been in retail since the beginning of DiCentral, which was of 2000. And so you take a look at the revenue linked to the transactions that we're processing. And we have about 100,000 trading partners, but specifically 6,000 basically connected retailers. And that world has changed dramatically, and it's been sort of fascinating, and it's been accelerated in the last 6 weeks. Obviously, online shopping has grown dramatically, e-commerce, in the last few years, so everybody knows that. And so what we're seeing in terms of connecting to retailers is still a lot of brick and mortar, obviously, but more and more online retailers, right? And an SAP Business One customer that can now sell their products not only to a brick and mortar retailer, but now also to an online platform. Basically, it's simply another great sales channels for them to sell their products. So it's a growth opportunity. And what we've seen in the last 6 weeks since the start of the pandemic is any retailer that did not have an online presence basically has started to just try to sprint. And in some cases, it could be successful if there was already a strategy in place, and in others, it wasn't. And so we've seen them lean on other types of platforms out there. So obviously, Amazon is an obvious one. Now, Amazon is starting to see a little bit of competition, and you have some very specific ones. We were just meeting with a platform in Germany called Outfits24. Fascinating. They basically started as a shoe online aggregator, basically. So any brick and mortar retailer that wanted to sell online can basically connect to this platform. So now their products can be bought online. And so it's the kind of platform that we love connecting to. And for an SAP Business One customer, the fact that they're on our network gives them the possibility to now sell their products through that platform. And so the number of connected retailers increases, the number of trading partner increases. And so from a retail standpoint, the platform is increasing by the day, basically. A little bit about the EDI partnership philosophy, and then we'll get into SAP Business One. We understand that in most cases, our customer is on the left side, right? So we're going to integrate with SAP Business One. We actually will, in most cases, integrate with other applications, whether a TMS, WMS, or anything custom. And what we want to make sure we offer our customer is visibility, reports, alerts. In our world, support has to be 24/7. That's really important. And we then will basically make sure that we can take Business One data and convert it in any way and send it in any way to be able to connect to that SAP Business One's ecosystem. On the other side, obviously, what you have is you have customers for the most part, but you have also suppliers, transportation companies, banks, even just all sorts of trading partners, some e-commerce platforms also as well. We see a lot of that these days. And what our solution will do or our service, I should say, is we will onboard these trading partners. We will make sure that basically we're contacting the customer, figuring out what the format is, how we're going to send and receive the information. So in essence, what we're doing is we're also supporting the trading partner, the ecosystem, again, to make it more efficient for the SAP Business One customer. Okay. In many cases, though, given the size of our network, these customers are already on there. So you can imagine if you have an SAP Business One customer that has EDI requirements, and they connect to our platform, and that Business One customers are already on. It accelerates testing, or accelerates onboarding, just a lot of things basically you can imagine. And that's really the philosophy behind the solution, is making, growing the network so that the next customer that connects to our network, basically the feeds are already in place for them to quickly be up and running, and so on. Really quick, to give you a sense of our sort of the evolution of the typical customer, we have some small customers that basically only use a web EDI engine, which we call our DI Web. And simply through our network, they'll connect to the trading partner community that's on our network, and then we keep adding, obviously. And in some cases, they might not be integrated to Business One because the volume's not there, and that's completely fine. And then basically the DI Web, the web EDI platform is, very simple, very intuitive, and we have different flavors. So the example you have on the screen is top left is specific to retail, and bottom right is specific to automotive, because the EDI processes are quite different in those two verticals. Okay, but that's sort of a step one. And now a lot of our Business One customers skip that step altogether, right? And really then jump into what we call integrated EDI. And in that case, we still give full access to the web EDI solution that you saw before, but really the focus becomes, how can I manage EDI, so to speak, directly from SAP Business One? They still benefit obviously from the network, they still benefit from the 24/7 and so on, but the bulk of the EDI operations are managed directly within SAP Business One, and that's a big advantage. And so would love to, with every single one of you, do a complete sort of a demonstration of this. It's short, simple, and it's really to the point. But the bottom line is, we think this is sort of the best of both worlds, because a Business One customer now has embedded EDI. By embedded, we mean that every function is directly in the ERP. As you can see, the EDI integrated suite is just another item in the menu. And obviously the connection to the network gives them all the advantages of, the size of the network and a few other things that I'll talk about here in a second. The integration for Business One, as I mentioned, is embedded. In Business One, we actually have over 30 EDI document types. To be honest with you all, nowadays, we don't really run into many customers that need document types that are not in the solution. The key too is we automate. Every EDI function in Business One can be automated, so documents are flowing in automatically, going out automatically. You can create EDI forms that are non-native, so a dispatch advice or a shipping notification is an example. It's not a native SAP Business One form like the order or the invoice, but we've created that. And so a lot of nice functionality. A few examples of other features that we would gladly demo is, price validation is an example. So comparing the pricing in the EDI order with the pricing in the master data. If an order comes in, as an example, and an item that's on the order doesn't exist in Business One, or a ship to address, or whatever it may be, we have features to quickly create those so that the order can flow in. You have obviously everything linked to cross-reference tables or conversions with units of measure or with item numbers. So there's a lot of functionality behind just importing and exporting documents for EDI purposes. You've got all sorts of other things that you can do, within the solution that makes it quite interesting. Then step one was web EDI, step two was integration, and then step three is a bit beyond. So the power of the network, visibility, so being able then within a portal that we give to all of our customers to track, monitor sort of all the EDI feeds and all the flows, get statuses, a concept called orchestration, which is with one click seeing all the documents that are linked together. And then probably the most important as company grows is this concept of we have a business rule engine. So being able to create these business rules and get alerts or even stop documents if there's a violation to one of the business rules. Could be that we want to match documents. It could be based on anticipated events. It could be, there's all sorts. As long as we can articulate the logic, we can create a business rule for it. And so again, the goal is to automate everything between Business One and the network. And if there's an issue, to be alerted so somebody can jump in. But if there aren't any issues, the goal is to really automate everything as much as possible. So quick example with the visibility dashboard, and again, sticking to the retail and the automotive example. So top left is the retail dashboard, bottom right is automotive. So again, customers are running everything directly in Business One, but on top of that, they have access to this full dashboard with reports and different things related to EDI. So again, it's this idea that if you combine the both, the embedded integration plus the dashboard, it's sort of the best of both worlds. I talked a lot about the retail network, so just wanted to touch on auto. Same thing, our automotive network is growing extensively. There's some new automotive compliance processes that are coming in that are forcing more and more companies to adopt EDI in the automotive world. And it's driven by the OEMs, and so the OEMs obviously are now pushing this down the supply chain, not only with tier ones, but tier twos and tier threes. And so our EDI solutions, there's a flavor of it that's specific to automotive, and there's a nice link with Business One, and obviously the OEMs are connected to the network as well. Okay, last few things I wanted to touch on. Basically, as I mentioned before, we add customers every day on our DI web, and a lot of that has to do with our retail partnerships. And we don't sell our ERP, but we definitely investigate ERP. So our teams will ask, what is the ERP situation? And goal again is to generate leads for our partners. And as I mentioned, we love doing that. The only way though we can clearly know if a lead is good for you as a partner is for us to get to know you. And a simple 30-minute phone conversations, and if you want to see the solution, a demo, we're glad to do that as well. But a simple conversation lets us know, okay, so this partner is focused on this vertical and this geography, and then we're on the lookout. And so we'd love to establish that with you all. So a bit of a recap quickly in terms of the advantages, and then happy to take some questions if there are some. So first of all, it's a certified solution. It's embedded. I think that's really important. The goal is for customers to work within SAP Business One. The EDI component is fully cloud. It's a managed services solution. So that means that really from beginning to end, we onboard the customer, we onboard the trading partners. We'll jump in and take care of the tough questions and so on. We essentially become the Business One customer's EDI department. Because of where our customers are based and our offices, we clearly have global reach. 24/7, it's a must. So literally what that means is that a customer can call us at any time. And obviously 24/7 in English, in other languages, an example would be German. During the German business hours, support in German is available. Outside it's in English, but it really is 24/7. 7 core languages, but we do add more. We just translated our applications, for example, in Portuguese, okay? And but local presence also. So we have a team in the UK, team in Germany, team in other geographies as well. One thing that's key here, and we don't mention often, but it's really important, is that basically every piece of what I showed is DiCentral's intellectual property. Okay, from the Business One add-on all the way to the trading partner. And the reason that's important is because you have interconnects and different things, and you want, if something does happen and does break down, you want to be able to make one phone, your customer wants to make one phone call, figure out where the issue is, fix it, and then keep going. If you have a lot of OEM situations and solutions that are sort of patched together, that can get lost. I talked about a business engine, so that's an important component. As the Business One customers grow, they start asking for those kinds of business rules to be configured. The web portal gives full visibility on all EDI exchanges, statuses, and so on. Now, one thing too that's important is DiCentral is focused on EDI. That's what we do. You do have a lot of other EDI companies out there that do a lot of other things, and EDI is a fraction of it. In our case, not at all. So every development, every roadmap, is geared towards that EDI expertise. And today, the network is roughly 100,000 trading partners, which is the most recent number I received, and growing every single month. And so that gives a big advantage, because chances are your customer, when connected to DiCentral, that their trading partners are already on there. Accelerates a lot of things when that's the case. If not, no big deal. As mentioned, we do add about 100 digital connections every month right now. And so I hope that this was informative for you all. And we would love if you reached out to us so that we can have sort of that 30-minute conversation and get a feel for what your business is focused on and so on. And then would love if we can to show you a little bit more, go into a demo of the solutions and so on, so that you can see if eventually it would be a good fit for some of your current customer, but also that when you're in a sales cycle and EDI comes up, that you have the confidence that you've got a very strong EDI partner that understands what you're going through, and that's obviously willing to help, such as DiCentral. So Darren, back to you. I'm happy to answer any questions that may come up.
That's great, Jacques. Wonderful presentation there, very concise and a very good insight into DiCentral and how you can help our partners. We do have a couple of questions, which is always good to see. We have Nidhi Shah, one of our delegates, asking if it's possible that you can give an example of how this has been integrated within a customized customer requirement. Forgive me if that sounds a little bit vague, but I guess what he's driving at is possibly looking at when there is a customized requirement, how do you deal with that type of request from the partner?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and the reason it's a great question, because it happened yesterday. And with a partner, this was in Austria. So basically, in their case, it was everything around 3PLs. Okay, so that's another, we didn't really touch on it today, but logistics is an extremely important piece of the EDI puzzle nowadays, I think. And to be honest with you, we haven't done any analysis on this, but if a company is willing to go cloud with ERP, with EDI, oftentimes they're willing to also essentially outsource or delegate things like logistics. Now, what that means is that they're entrusting warehousing, transportation, so on to a third party. And so the only way to retain some of the control is a lot of B2B or EDI communications. And so yesterday, this partner basically asked us a number of questions around our 3PL capabilities. We were able to answer most of them. There's one need that basically is not currently in the solution. The advantage, again, is that, as I mentioned before, we own and operate all of our IP, and we do have an extensive development team. And so we basically, today, we're able to confirm that it is a roadmap item. It was not, but it's a roadmap item now, and we've been able to accelerate. We feel the opportunity is strong enough, and so we can go ahead and take care of that development. The one thing I do want to stress, though, is that we don't do pure ERP development. That's really, really important for us. That's the partners that do that. And the second it doesn't touch EDI, we move away from it and we let you do it. First of all, I don't think we're the experts there. Like I said, our ERP expertise is really on the periphery related to EDI. And so we would push that onto you. But if there's a custom requirements related to EDI, we have a significant team that can jump in and take care of it.
Excellent, thanks, Jacques. There's a second question as well. Do you ever have situations where the solution is used for bank integration?
We do. Now, not to transfer funds. Okay, so in one of the slides I showed a bit of a model, and financial institutions was one of the types of trading partners. Where we see it quite a bit is essentially it could be to initiate a payment, right? So what a lot of companies don't necessarily know is that banks will submit a lot of information that are on their portals electronically. Oftentimes, it's not pure EDI. There are some EDI documents related to banking. In the EDIFACT standard, it's the remittance advice, the REM ADV, and in NCX 12, it's the 820. Okay, that's a document that's sent to either say, I've paid a specific invoice or I'm about to pay a specific invoice. But what banks will often do is they will send basically reconciliation documents electronically and any other type of data. What we find though in those situations, it's never pure EDI, and that's okay. It could be either an XML, a flat file, or some kind of CSV. And so we receive that at the DiCentral network, we translate it, and then we send it off to SAP Business One. In some cases, we've created basically a new custom window to receive the list of invoices that have been paid. And some of our customers use that data to compare with the invoices they've sent to make sure that all invoices have been paid. And so that's an example of how we've connected to banks for some of our customers.
Splendid. Thank you, Jacques. I think that's the limit of the questions we've had come through so far. Just for everyone's attention who's dialed in today, you can see that both Jacques and Giada have their email addresses on screen. I'm sure if there's any further questions that come to light off the back of today's presentation, they'd welcome an email with any further questions. And also, I would like to say that if anybody couldn't make today's webinar, we have been recording the webinar, and a recording will be made available through DiCentral's own digital marketing channels, as well as through Cloud for Partners. And if there are any questions from the partner network in connection with how both Cloud for Partners and DiCentral can help your customers' projects further, please don't hesitate to email myself, darren.crawley@ascari.com, and please visit the website mycloudforpartners.com. Jacques, thank you very much for today's presentation. I've really enjoyed the 30 to 40 minutes we've had looking into DiCentral with you. Please pass on my best regards to Giada and to Andrea as well, and the rest of the DiCentral team. Please do stay safe and well, and we'll look forward to seeing you again when things get back to what we hope will be normal life soon. But thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Darren. Thanks to you and the team.
Not a problem, and thank you very much to all our delegates as well. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.